Shootings renewed debate over how to combat domestic terrorism. Texas state troopers are guarding the entrance to the mall where 22 people were killed in El Paso. The FBI has been pressing for better coordination with local and state enforcement to combat domestic terrorism. Law enforcement officials have sounded the alarm for months. Homegrown terrorism, including by white supremacists, is now as big a threat as terrorism from abroad. But the mass shooting in El Paso last weekend, the largest domestic terrorist attack against Hispanics in modern history, has made it glaringly clear how poorly prepared the country is to fight it. The United States spent nearly 20 years intensely focused on threats from Islamic extremists. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001 rerouted the machinery of government to fight against threats of violence from the Middle East, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. But those attacks have waned in recent years, replaced by violence from white supremacists, an increasingly internet-driven phenomenon of lone wolves, not groups, that will prove immensely difficult to combat. On Monday, President Trump pledged to give federal law enforcement authorities whatever they need to combat domestic terrorism. The motive for the second attack of the weekend in Dayton, Ohio, remains unknown. But even before the shootings, which left at least 31 people dead, officials said that preventing attacks from white supremacists and nationalists would require adopting the same type of broad and aggressive approach used to battle international extremism. We need to catch them and incarcerate them before they act on their plans, Rod Rosenstein, the former Deputy Attorney General, said in an email interview. We need to be proactive by identifying and disrupting potential terrorists before they strike. And we can accomplish that by monitoring terrorist propaganda and communications. Under current federal law, that is difficult. Federal officials have broad powers to disrupt foreign terrorist plots, given to them as part of the Patriot Act, passed after 2001. They can take preventative action, for example, by wiretapping or using an undercover online persona to talk to people anonymously in chat rooms to search for jihadists. But domestically, federal officials have far fewer options. A federal statute defines domestic terrorism but carries no penalties. The First Amendment, which protects freedom of speech, makes stopping terrorist acts committed by Americans before they happen more challenging. No government agency is responsible for designating domestic terrorism organizations, and individuals who are considered domestic terrorists are charged under laws governing hate crimes, guns, and conspiracy, not terrorism. It's a big blank spot, said Mary McCord, a former top national security prosecutor who has drafted and proposed a statute to criminalize domestic terrorism not covered by existing laws. This would include criminalizing the stockpiling of weapons intended to be used in a domestic terrorist attack. The issue is urgent. Right-wing extremists killed more people in 2018 than any year since 1995, the year of Timothy McVeigh's bomb attack on Oklahoma City Federal Building, according to the Anti-Defamation League, and the attack in El Paso, and an April shooting in a synagogue in Poway, California, alone have claimed as many lives as all extremist homicides of any stripe. In 2018, according to the Center for the Study of hate and extremism at California State University, San Bernardino. FBI field office in Phoenix recently issued a report that said conspiracy theories, often with racial overtones and fueled by dissemination online, had become a growing national security threat. Mr. Rosenstein said that the law enforcement needs to model its domestic terrorism response after the international counterterrorism efforts undertaken in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, in the same way that honorable members of mosques report people who express violent designs. So, too, should people report violent white nationalists to the police, he said.